My name is Will Armstead, CEO of Boys and Girls Clubs of St. Lucie County. Before we start this segment of Clubcast, I first want to thank our community, our donors, our sponsors, our board of directors, and our staff. Without any of those people, and I actually want to add one more person, the kids we serve and the parents. Without any of those elements, we absolutely could not do the job that we do each and every day. Every month, I get an opportunity to bring a special person onto the show to really talk about why they are involved in the Boys and Girls Clubs, but also what they do in the community and why they do it in the community. Today, I have the distinct honor to have my dear friend and a philanthropist, Art Allen, with A&G Concrete Pools. How you doing, Art?
Good, Will. How you doing?
Good, good. First of all, I was trying to get it set up, but I just couldn't make it work to get you and Travis together so that there could be some really cool banter going on between, the two of you. But first and foremost, everyone knows Art Allen. And I want to start by saying thank you before I even get into, what you do and why you do it, and you talk about your company. I can tell you I've known you for a lot of years, and throughout that time, you have just done so many extraordinary things, to include all the people that you hire at your company that build and design the best pools in the state of Florida and probably throughout the country and maybe even the world on some of the pools that I have seen. I want to start by you giving our listening and viewing audience about a little bit about A&G Concrete Pools.
Yeah, well, by the way, first and foremost, getting me and Travis together at the same time is probably impossible sometimes. You know that when we come into my office and everything else. We're both busy in all different directions. The good thing about it is that when I started my company 35 years ago, I started with one truck, 2 helpers, and just knew that I was going to do something with this company. And it took a lot of work and everything else to move it everywhere forward. But the one thing that you just said was taking care of your employees. I mean, having benefits and having everything that go for them. They're like family. I mean, I know their kids, I know their wives, I know their husbands, I know everything about them. And we try to maintain that level. Also, at the same time, you just said number 1 in Florida. Yes, we are. We're number 34 in the nation.
Wow.
And I don't know about the world. We're a member of the Master Pool Guild, which is the top 100 pool companies in the United States and the world. And that's been a big honor for us and everything else. And we do try to do the best of the best.
Art, I didn't know that. I just assumed that just based on when you go in your office, number 1, how you treat your employees, which is huge. It's funny how people are talking today, treat your employees well. If you don't want to lose employees, treat them well. But you guys have always done that, at least since I've been around, and you see how comfortable and relaxed in a very tough environment because you're building pools, your guys are outside. I mean, and I can't even imagine what the temperature is with, trying to just being in that environment. But when you look on the walls and the quality of the pools that you guys are doing, it's just magnificent. I mean, it's, pools going out to the ocean. It looks like to me, you got just the fanciness and the art of what you guys are doing is just amazing. Share with everyone, like maybe 1 or 2 of your favorite pools or something. You probably don't. You probably have so many, but one of those pools or 2 of those pools that are just like, wow, like that's beautiful.
Quick story, real quick, is I had a guy come in on a meeting on a pool on the 25th floor in Miami, and he said to me, "You must be really proud of that." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "The price." And I said, what was the other prices that you got? He says, "We couldn't get anybody else to bid it." We're one of those companies that'll build things that are, I love building stuff like that because I'm in the 14 by 20 in the backyard. I'll do that in a heartbeat. Our favorite saying is from the simple to the sensational. But some of those really hard pools we've never built before are a lot of fun to do.
That's awesome, man. And I've seen the proof, and I see your trucks everywhere. I'm up at and driving around 7 o'clock on the road, dropping my boys off to school, and I always see an A&G Concrete Pools truck somewhere. So that just tells you the level that you're busy. Now, during this pandemic, I have to ask this question. Are you guys really busy? Are you guys building a lot of pools now?
Well, you know, the funny thing about that is when the pandemic hit and everything started going down, I was very, very concerned about the company having business and everything else. Just the opposite. We are so busy, it's unreal. And we could build twice as what we're building right now if we can get the labor. The labor is our biggest problem. Materials haven't been our problem because we keep up with that. But the pandemic has put everything to the point that people want a vacation in their backyard. I mean, they're putting the outdoor kitchens in, they're putting the pool spas, they're putting everything in, and they're living in the backyard with their family.
That's awesome. Well, I think part of that, the experience that you're giving the families to be able to do that, especially during this pandemic, has really brought a lot of families together to be able to, you know, and I've heard stories where people saying, you know, we never eat dinner at the table, or there's things that we didn't do prior to the pandemic. But I think it is pretty cool to be able to sit out in the back, you know, and
live in your backyard
pool and just have fun and enjoy your family. I'm going to really get into philanthropy here in a minute because you're a big philanthropist in St. Lucie County. But before I do that, I want to talk about your passion. What are your passions?
Oh, wow. You know, honestly and truthfully, A&G is one of my biggest passions. I mean, I live and breathe and work. When I started my company, I worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was just my dream and go through and just keep moving forward. My other passion is my family. I have a beautiful wife, 5 children, and 5 grandchildren.
That's awesome.
I have a ranch where I able to ride around on the golf cart, feed the fish, and do that kind of stuff. So the family. We do the same thing. We spend the time in the backyard and the swimming pool and everything else. And anything is my passion is my family.
Well, I recognize that because I have been over your house before. And I know that we have 2 boys. And I watched you like a grandpa, or whatever your grandkids call you, spend time
Pop-pop.
with, what they call you?
Pop-pop.
Pop-pop. I actually watched you make cookies with my boys. And I ate the majority of them. I'm going to be truthful. You know, I go to people's houses and they'll be like, oh, we got plenty big fish. When we go to your house, you have big fish. And so we know that family is your passion. You like making sure that they're taken care of in a good way. We're going to talk a little bit. I'm going to ask this question, so I want to make sure I don't forget it at the end. And it's going to be like, you said you've been around 35 years. You put tons and tons of hours in. And we talked about all the beauty in the pools that you guys create. I'm going to want to talk later about what's the future, like what does the next 35 years look like. But before we get into that, I really want to talk about philanthropy. And I got to witness this firsthand. And I don't want this to be just about your philanthropy to Boys and Girls Clubs, but just what you do and how generous you are as just a human being. And I remember we were, you know, we served over 2,000 kids a day in our clubhouses, and we really would struggle with transportation, and that is what most of us do, you know, in this space that I'm in Boys and Girls Clubs and other nonprofits. We typically struggle with getting people and kids to the clubs, whatever it is. And I never forget you asking me, like, it was like just a direct question, how much is it going to cost for me to have a van or for me to purchase a van? And you caught me off guard. And I told you what the amount was, and you had some further discussion, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then you said, I'll see you in my office on Monday morning to get a check. Now, this was on a Saturday. And you said, I'll see you on Monday. And it was a lot of money. Because not only did you pay for the van, you also paid for the wrap, and you paid for the first year insurance on that vehicle.
Don't remind me how much money, please.
I'm not going to tell you the number. I'm not going to tell you the number because I want to be around longer. I want to be part of you a long time. Why? Tell me why. Tell Eric why. Why did you do that, and why do you do it?
Well, let me explain a little bit to you where I came from. I moved here from LA when I was 16 years old. If it wasn't for, and I'm going to say Boy Scouts, football, baseball, and everything else that my mom and my stepfather pushed me through into there, I would probably be dead now. I mean, I was in LA, right in the middle of it, and those kind of sports and kind of things and activities kept me out of trouble. Then I moved to Florida with my dad and everything else. But if it wasn't for that, and that's why I strive to help the kids. One of the things that I'm really big into is the two-legged animals that are underage or young, and the four-legged animals from Maine Society. I mean, those are people that need help. You know, so I mean, I believe in that situation, and I mean, I am very blessed, and I have been very, very blessed. I have had kids walk up to me that are 3 inches taller than me. Now from the 12 years old that I sponsored their baseball team for, that walk up to me and I would go like, oh, scared to death because they're twice as big as me, and thank me for what we sponsored and how we did it and what it helped them in their life. They were going to go the wrong direction if they didn't have that. So I believe in that wholeheartedly to make sure those kids are at the club and getting those treatment they're getting those meals they need, and making them go in the right direction. I'm sure you've had hundreds of kids come up to you later and thank you.
Absolutely, and it's funny because I absolutely could not do the work I do without your participation specifically. And I could tell you what a lot of people may not know this is that when philanthropists like Art are in communities like St. Lucie County, things happen and you see it, and it's a trickle-down effect. So what you do gets someone else curious about what you did, and that van that we talked about ended up netting us 5 vehicles.
Wow.
And that's what happens, right, when a community comes together.
I didn't know that.
And I'm glad we're talking about it on the show because it's so true. It's your gift that first of all changed the lives. Like it don't just change the life of that kid. It changed the life of an entire generation because now this kid has transportation. In that specific instance, they have transportation, but also it's not just the kids that don't have transportation. It's the other kids that may be in a different type of setting, but they need to be able to experience other things that are going around in their county, what's going around in other parts of the state. And that vehicle specifically has done that. And we would not have been able to do that without you. But I know lots of other people that have benefited from your generosity. And this, for me, this show is really about people who give back and do the right thing, and really an opportunity for them to really share that drive, that passion that they have in order to make it happen. I was looking at your wall one day and I was like, how are they going to eat all of these, like the pigs and the stairs? Is it called stairs?
Yes.
I'm just like, who does that? Like, who buys all that? And so...
You realize where that money goes, don't you?
Share with me, because I don't.
When we buy the steers and the pigs and everything else, 9 times out of 10, we donate a lot of it and give it to our employees. But we're buying that, but that person that raised that steer and everything, it goes into a college education fund. So that is actually paying for their college education, and they get that money when they go to college. So it's not one we just hand them a bunch of money and they get to put it in their pocket. It's into a college education. That's one of the reasons we do St. Lucie County and do the fair and everything else. And we enjoy doing it too.
Well, Art, I want to continue this conversation. You were the Philanthropist of the Year. I want to talk a little bit about that when we come back from a break. And then I also want to talk a little bit more about the future, and I want to talk more about your giving. Please join us in watching what Geo Homes is providing for many of our kids throughout St. Lucie County, their toy drive, where we have over 50 boxes in many of our businesses.
Ho, 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 ho. Happy holidays! Hey, look at all those gifts and toys. Our partners at GL Homes believes this holiday season it is important to hold on to our traditions and to help the children that need us most. Please join us in making the holidays bright by donating a toy for a child or a gift for a teen at any of the locations you see here this holiday season. Toy drop-off locations and gift drive suggestions can be found at bgcslc.rocks/gift drive. Happy holidays to you all.
So we're back from commercial, and I just wanted to continue our banter on just your philanthropy, but something that's very important, and I think you would agree with this, is that we don't just work with underprivileged kids. We work with all kids. We believe throughout this pandemic that so many kids, so many of our teenagers have been affected by it. I mean, you know, there's a lot of social, emotional trauma that's going on. You know that parents, you know, have lost their jobs. Parents are stressed out because they don't really understand what's going on. And I think a lot of us really don't really understand what's going on. There's a lot of political divide. Our young people are hearing this. And so I think we together are making a difference. Boys and Girls Clubs are being the hands and feet, and people like you, Art, and A&G Concrete Pools are helping us fund a lot of the activities that happen throughout the year. And so one of the things that I wanted to share with you that, because one of the things that I like to do is make sure that the donor understands, the funder, the person that just has this philanthropic heart, is that you're not just giving us money, then kind of, you know, thank you and we'll see you again next year. But we actually have a relationship, and we talk about, you know, what's the best place the money should go? What should we do? How is it going to benefit the community as a whole? And one of the things that we're working with now is workforce readiness, which is a big deal. Making sure that our kids are not just with the soft skills, but making sure that what we're providing them is up to date and relevant for this time. One of the things that we're spending the dollars that we received this year from you is they're called virtual reality. And what that is an opportunity for kids to be able to see what's going on, whether it'll teach them how to show up to work on time. It'll teach them what's going on in different countries. There's so many different learning components to this thing. There are ones that teach kids how to drive a truck, but those dollars that you give us allow us to do those kind of things. And we've seen the benefits so far, or at least I hope you have, of the dollars that you guys have given us, where we poured right back into the kids, where kids have gotten scholarships. We've been out to your site many times with our kids. They had the opportunity to put the hard hats on and to be able to experience the variety of jobs that you guys have with A&G Concrete Pools. And so we're going to bring that in-house too, where kids can actually experience it from a customer service standpoint and see some other things. So very excited about that. And I want to move on to, stay with.
Can I say one thing real
Absolutely.
quick as far as the children? You know, you said earlier about the, doesn't matter what your background is, you're not coming from where you come from. But I couldn't imagine during this pandemic that those kids didn't have a place to go, and to have 2 kids in a house and 2 parents in a house 24 hours a day, like you said, with no jobs. I'm surprised we didn't have more domestic violence and everything else, but you gave them a place to go, give the parents a place to cool off too at the same time with the kids cooling off. And that's very special to the point of making a family reunion.
You hit it right on the head, because when you think about what we've been able to do as a community, I mean, we're at another location that added 53,000 more building space so that kids could run around. We added 25 acres. That all came from your philanthropy, and of course we have other donors and sponsors. But in our community, we work together to make sure that we get the best outcomes. So you're absolutely right. We've been able to serve a lot of kids in Fort Pierce and in Port St. Lucie, because combined, we got almost 100,000 square foot of additional space so that we could serve those kids. So I'm very appreciative of that. I want to talk about the philanthropy piece just even further. I just think it's so cool. Like, I think anytime somebody gives us $1, it's important because that means somebody worked hard for it. You know, it's like, and we talked about your employees that are out in that hot sun, and that means that there was a lot of money outlaid to get it done, and we know the cost of labor. We know the cost to just run a business, but the way you guys do it and how you do it has been a blessing for Boys and Girls Clubs and many other organizations. Is there any other organizations outside of us, Boys and Girls Clubs, that you want to share that you're passionate about?
Well, you know, we got the Maine Society. I'm very passionate. Sandy, my wife, is on the board, and we've been there for a long time. We sponsor a lot of baseball teams and basketball and different teams in the county. And also, we sponsor Learn to Read, which I think is a great program for children and everything else, and they move forward teaching them to read. We sponsor a lot of little things all over the county, and we try to spread it too. But like I said earlier, we try to put it to the point of kids growing up, kids that need help and everything else. Like I said, if they didn't have that, they'd be walking streets, getting in trouble, and not doing what they need to do. So, I mean, and there's a lot of kids that need help. And I believe in St. Lucie County. I mean, the thing is, you can't give the money to everybody. There's 2,500 nonprofit organizations in the Tri-County area. Right. So, I mean, it does get heavy to the point, and we do get asked by a lot of people, and Travis and I sit and discuss it, but we've been pretty loyal to every one of the situations we do, as you know.
It shows, and I want to go back, because I think this is important for viewers to understand, that, you know, we have a lot of people that are underprivileged, but in this day and age, we take care of the underprivileged, the least of us, but there's this other group of kids that need that help too. And they may even have privilege, but they still need a caring adult in their life. They still need someone that can walk alongside them in their journey of growing up as a kid. And when you live in a county like us, it's just a big village, right? It's just,
that's all it is.
It's a village. It's not mom and dad, you're the only ones, but we don't replace parents. What we do is we come alongside them and say, we want to provide your kids a safe space so that you can go to work or you can do the things you need to do. That's where it's at, so the two parents can work and they can make the money so they're a little more privileged. That's right.
And then that way they can do both.
Can't do both. And it's just, I just get really stoked about this kind of stuff because I just think it's important that when communities come together, we see it. You witness it. When you go into the grocery stores, you see the family dynamics in the grocery stores. You see the family dynamics when you're walking down the street. You see the family dynamics in so many places. But that all comes from the community working together. And we have a special community in that place.
Yeah, I love when I walk in the grocery store and you see mom and dad, 2 or 3 children, grandma, and they're all pushing 2 carts. You know.
Exactly.
They're together. So I appreciate that.
Well, I want to move on to the Philanthropist of the Year at Indian River State College. You want to share a little bit about that?
Well, you know, the funny thing about it was that I don't need a pin to pin on my chest. I don't need to beat my chest. But Dr. Moore and Ann Decker calls me up and said they want to have an interview with me. And I walked in an interview and they said they'd already decided that I'm going to be Entrepreneur of the Year. And that was a real shock to me. In fact, I was sitting on the couch and I sat there for like 10 minutes just listening to them. And finally, Ann Decker said to me that she goes, "You need to answer the question. That's a yes or no." And I said, okay. And it was quite interesting, all the stuff that's going through. They had to postpone it. It was supposed to be in September. They were going to go ahead and have the honor and the award and everything else. And they postponed it to March because of the pandemic. And that was half my decision because I didn't want 250 of my friends being in a room in the middle of that. You know, I'd feel really bad if somebody got sick. So we put it off till March, and we're going to go from there. But
well, I made a mistake, and I called you Philanthropist
I
of the
understand.
Year, and I've said it a couple of times because that's how I feel.
I knew what you meant.
But Entrepreneur of the Year, that's a double for you then. So congratulations on that, and I'm glad that I got the invite. So
you will be there.
Myself and my wife Rachel will definitely be there.
One of the things they did when they filmed it, they filmed quite a few people, and I gave them a list, and I was not able to see any of it, so I haven't seen any of it yet. But one of the interesting questions they asked me in my interview, they said, "Are you living your dream?" And I sat and thought about it for a second. I said, "Yes, I am living my dream with a lot of nightmares in between."
There you go. You actually said that.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
yes.
it's not always been a dream every day.
Right.
There's always been something. You never know. I always say whatever's going to hit you on a Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock. You know, guys have a car accident. Somebody gets hurt. You know, it's never going to be 100% a dream.
Wow. We have a little bit of time left, so I want to talk about, you've been in business for 35 years.
Yes.
What's going on in the next 35 years, Art?
I went to Travis and told him I wanted out 3 years ago, and he told me I couldn't leave. And now I'm watching everybody retire around me. You know, I've got it to the point now that I don't work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I still work, still involved in the day-to-day, not as much as I used to. I don't go into work at 3 o'clock in the morning. I show up about 7:38. That's really been nice. I used to every day, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the next 35 years is one of the things I did was build A&G, that if I'm not around, it's still going to exist. But I do plan on the future of actually laying back a little bit more. But, you know, I don't golf, I don't fish anymore. And I would like to do some traveling, and that was my whole goal in the last 3 to 5 years. But the pandemic has shut that down a little bit. So Sandy and I don't do as much traveling as we wanted to. We wanted to visit the world. And at this point in time, I don't think we're going to do that right away or run to it. So hopefully one day that we can do that and everything else. I mean, in the meantime, I enjoy my people. I enjoy going to work, and I think that the business is going to be around for another 35 years, even if I'm not. So that's all I can say about that. I do have my son start in January, which he's an engineer, and he's going to be working there too. So I think that the future is going to be very well for Travis and Aaron, and you know, there's a point in time, even point in time. Well, you got to turn the reins over to somebody else.
That's right. Well, you know what? 100% of the time that I've gone to your place, I've always seen like a continuity between everyone, and there might be some stress. I don't know, but you never see it. And sometimes I have gone to your place and like unannounced, like I've stopped by. I may want to drop something off. And you've done an extremely awesome job, Art, in building a team. Like, you have lots of people. Since I've been there, they've been there. So for an employee to be there 5 years is really, in this day and age, is a big deal. And I'm sure you got plenty of employees that have been there for many, many, many years.
I have 2 that have been with me for 35 years, and over 65% of the people that work for me have been there more than 15.
And that's, you know, that talks, you know, to me, that builds on you personally as a just good character, because people don't do that anymore. People don't stay.
What are the tricks to that situation?
Tell me, because I want to make sure I keep my employees around a long time.
Yeah, well, one of the tricks to that situation is that when I hire someone like in the office, I don't do the interviews. Travis doesn't do the interviews. We let the girls do the interview. And then we let the girls come back with their best thing, because you know what they got to do? They all got to get along. And at that point in time, we'll do the interviews and just make sure that situation's okay. But let your employees do the interviews.
That's awesome. Well, I'm gonna maybe take some of that advice, because we do pretty good, but you have a proven track record. So, thank you for joining us today.
I appreciate it.
I am gonna invite you and Travis back here soon, maybe early in the new year, just to kind of maybe give some more updates on what we have going.
Let's do this at my house next time, and then I'll go ahead and do the interview by making cookies.
I like that. That would be fun. Thank you. If nothing else, we can do it on a commercial break. You doing cookies.
That'd
Let
be
everybody
perfect.
see it happen.
Or go fishing.
We can do both. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Clubcast. This was just an exciting time spending with Art Allen with A&G Concrete Pools. If we all continue to live that model of taking care of people and looking out for our future, I think this place would be better. Thank you. See you next time.